Hello everybody, I am Crystal Clear 101. Welcome back to my channel. We have another Transformers toy review for today, and we are looking at the Transformers Adventures set TA-32 Rumble and Frenzy. Now this set was released in Japan in late 2015. This is exclusive to Japan. Now as far as the Japanese retail goes, I am not familiar with what it retails for over in Japan. However, you can pick up this same set on Big Bad Toy Store for $34.99. Now, instead of me taking my sweet time to go over every intricate little detail on the box, I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as I can because I'm really excited about this set. First off, top left corner, we have the Transformers Adventures logo right up here in Japanese. The Takara Tomy logo, top right corner. Along with showing this is part of the Transformers Adventures line. We also have some really cool anime artwork of Rumble and Frenzy, along with their respective vehicle modes. Name of the set in English, TA-32 Rumble and Frenzy. Name of the two characters in Japanese. 30th anniversary logo right here. As far as what it says right here, I'm not too sure. My Japanese is a little rusty right now. Now along the left side of the packaging, we have Frenzy. Basically shows his little brief transformation. Cool anime artwork. Along the side of the packaging, basically says if you have the Japanese version of the Robots in Disguise game, in this case, guess it's Transformers channel. If you have the app, then you can scan the little sticker that's apparently on the inside of his arm. You can unlock them in the game. And right here is the profile for the two characters. A really cool little shot of them. Matter of fact, if you want to pause that and read that, be my guest. Matter of fact, if you want to tell me what that says, you're more than free to tell me in the comment section right below. And right over here we have Rumble. Again, the same little brief transformation. Top of the box, Transformers Adventures logo, name of the set, and the characters, Rumble and Frenzy artwork, set showing it's a Decepticon set. Here's the bottom. Okay, that's it. With that being done, let's go ahead and open up the set and see just how cool these figures really are. And before I get to the figures, I figured I'd go ahead and show something I thought was actually pretty cool. Now, aside from the instructions that does come with this set, it also does come with this rather neat little poster, which advertises for TAV-33 Optimus Prime Supreme Mode, which I think that figure looks pretty sweet, pretty slick, as well as TAV-29 Bumblebee Supreme Mode. I didn't know Bumblebee had a Supreme Mode. But what I thought was neat was essentially a checklist. That's all it is. It's a checklist for all the different Transformers Adventures figures that are either out or about to be out. And what I thought was neat is that Rumble and Frenzy are actually listed on the back. And what is even better is that this actually gives the Japanese retail price for these figures. So I can actually answer that, which is 3,500 yen. Roughly about $35 US. Which I think is absolutely neat, which means that Big Bad Toy Store just simply sold it for what it's sold for in Japan. Which I think is absolutely awesome of them. Yeah. Checklist of all the different Transformers Adventures characters. Actually shows quite a few I would like to get off of here. Now, I don't see it advertising like the little scout class type figures other than Rumble and Frenzy. But the fact it's actually a checklist for the figures, I think is just pretty sweet overall. But yeah, this is one of the things that actually comes with the set. And now with that being shown, let's go ahead and get straight to the figures themselves. And now, here are these two figures. Let's go ahead and get a better look at them. Now, first off, let's go ahead and give a 360 of both figures. Now, I know both of these figures are exactly the same, But I was wanting to have a full 360 of these because I think these two are just so neat. Now, let me give a little bit of information I do know about the mold itself, which is I know that this was especially this one right here, was originally supposed to be part of the Reveal the Shield line as part of Wave 5, along with a couple other characters. Those two were repaints. This one was a new mold that was originally going to be coming out. Matter of fact, this one was originally going to be called Demolition Rumble, but Wave 5 got discontinued, and the reason it got discontinued was because that they were anticipating the Dark of the Moon toy line, and I'm pretty sure we've seen how popular Dark of the Moon really got as far as the toys went. But this figure got canceled, and what ended up happening was the following year, in 2011, Takara released both of these figures as part of a 2-pack under the Transformers United line. And I believe the number for the set was UN20. And when they did, they released this as Rumble and this as Frenzy, just like the original Generation 1 toys, just like in the original Marvel comics. Now, I never read the comics, screw it up. I'm familiar with the cartoon, so just because of that, just from the cartoon, I'm familiar with this as Rumble and this as Frenzy. But, knowing from what I know from the toy line, it's the other way around. Matter of fact, I believe the Japanese actually corrected that issue, with this being Frenzy, this being Rumble. But anyway, might I digress. But both of these are more or less modern takes on the original Rumble and Frenzy characters. Now, what I do like, let me tell you what I like and what I don't like, just a little bit I've been fooling with them. Number one, what I like is the overall way they look. Both of these look like modern updates of the original two characters. Number two, I do like most of the articulation for the most part on these two figures. This is my first time even fooling with these particular figures. I mean, there's some parts of their articulation I like, and some parts I don't. I will get onto a little bit of what I don't like. Number three. The color pattern for these two, not only is it spot on with the original figures, for instance, Rumble being mostly red, black, a little bit of gold detail, and Frenzy being mostly blue, shades of light blue, silver, and some red, not too much red. But another thing I do like, their transformation is really not that bad. They're actually reasonably simple to transform. The instruction manual makes it look all long and complex. However, once you go from transforming them from their vehicle mode to their robot mode, they're actually not that hard. They're actually really simple, really easy. Another thing is that both figures actually have their signature weapons. They do have these cannons right here. Now, vehicle mode, they're part cannons for an anti-aircraft tank. However, they can be removed from the turret. Both of them can. As you see, they're on a little C-clamp. And they can clamp onto the little bars right down here. And now they can have a forward-mounted cannon. Almost like a little wrist cannon. So, the fact they have that, I do like. What I like even more is the simple fact that they do have their pile drivers, and I have that set up with Frenzy right over here. And you know, I admit, this looks like a modern take on their pile drivers. Matter of fact, the way to set up their pile drivers is really simple. Simply grab the back portion of their arms, pull it up. Then after that, You simply rotate the arms 180 degrees. That's simple. That is very simple, very ingenious. And I like simplicity. This means there's not extra parts to keep up with. And as far as what I said about the articulation, well, here's what I mean by it. And I'm going to try and show with Frenzy right here. But not only can he balance reasonably well on one knee, but you can also have their pile drivers positioned to where, just like as you see in the cartoons, you can actually have it positioned low enough for him to actually pile drive the ground. I think that is absolutely slick. I think that is neat. I love that. I honestly do love that. Because you can have these in a number of different poses, and they have the articulation to do it, which I think is fantastic. Now, if I have to give any negatives about these figures, the main thing I would have to give would be like some of the articulation. Now, because they do have some excess parts that are hanging off, and it's mainly in the arms. It's primarily in the arms for these two figures. Because for me, the treads actually do kind of get in the way, because at this point there's really no articulation at the elbow right here. Because this, hold on, let me get a better view. This is about as far forward as that lower arm can go. And because of it, there is no rotation at the elbow. Can't go left or right. And on top of that, the most you can do with the hand is that, and that's even then, that's only part of the transformation. So the lack of some arm articulation, to me, is a bit of a bummer. Another thing is, there is one more weapon. Technically, it's this little mini turret right here. I just wish you could have been able to remove that and like be able to stick it in his hand, like this little handheld blaster. Now, I've tried to pull this out. I've tried to see if I can pull this out. I haven't been able to. I'm not going to force it. Especially considering that I've read about how certain parts on the original United version of this were a little fragile. I'm not sure if these are as fragile. But I'm not even able to budge that, so I'm not going to force it. But even then, when I go to transform these, there is one small issue I do have. Which is, in vehicle mode, the arms, as you can tell, are part of the size of the tank mode. They're the treads. And these back here, these right here, form the back of the treads. And these little buttons are on a hair trigger. So just give an idea just how much pressure it takes. It don't take much. If I had to put a guess on the weight, probably a pound, if that. Honestly, not even a pound. And considering that this right here is a back portion of the vehicle, I barely put pressure on that and that shot out. So in vehicle mode, I can honestly see these right here being a little bit of an issue. I think I would prefer to see them maybe like right here on the front. Because I don't see you grabbing a tank from the top like this. However, I do see you grabbing the tank from the side, whether it be from the front, the middle, or the back. And in vehicle mode, you can honestly forget that these are back here. You can honestly forget, you know, these are buttons, that they're just different colored panels. Like I said, it don't take much to actually set these off. But aside from that, I'm going to take one of these figures, probably Frenzy, and I'm not sure what the transformation is like for these figures. And before I get to the transformation, one little thing I forgot to point out about the figures, which is right on the inside of where the pile drivers are, is the little sticker for the figures themselves. Now, the best part is they're just flat out simple paper stickers. And if you don't like that, you can take them straight off. Matter of fact, if you want to pause that, there's for Frenzy. And there's for Rumble. And that's for if you have the Japanese version of this game. So there you go. There's Rumble and Frenzy. Now, as far as the transformation for the two figures, it's actually reasonably simple. First off, just simply fold up these treads, which form the pile drivers. Next, straighten up the hands and simply rotate the treads inward. Next, take the hip, the base of which is on a double hinge. Well, I wouldn't say a double hinge, but fold the hip up like so. And honestly, I should have said this part was next, but fold the head down a little bit, bring up the chest piece. At this point, fold the heels in, fold the feet forward. Next, simply peg the legs together, bring them forward. At which point they can simply go like right up here, up against where the bottom of the chest would be. Pull the arms forward, or in this case towards the bottom of the vehicle mode, what would be the front of the vehicle mode. There's what I was talking about being on a hair trigger. Next, we're going to fold, this part is on a double hinge, so there we go. Fold the wrist in, then fold in part of the elbow. They simply go right up here. They snap together. And simply rotate the cannons around. There you go. There's the basic transformation for both figures. And here's both Rumble and Frenzy transformed into their little anti-aircraft tank modes. Now, as you can see, they're both in their respective colors when it comes to the tank mode. As you can see, I wasn't even thinking about it, and I accidentally set off both these pile drivers right here. So, to me, I think that is personally just a... While it's in robot mode, that is fine. In tank mode, however, that can accidentally be pressed. As you can see, it gives it more than enough room to actually fly back. I guess the only positive thing I can say is there's really nothing in the way for this to hit. But for me, it's just really more of an annoyance than anything for them to be placed right there. I honestly believe they would have been better located like right up here on the top. Because I don't see anything being accidentally hit when it's on the top. But anyway, I think the anti-aircraft tank mode looks good on these. Because I can see them being a type of supportive role. Not to mention there's a nicely printed Decepticon emblem on the very top of their turrets. Speaking of which, the turrets themselves actually do rotate. I believe they rotate a full 360 degrees. They do. Not to mention this gives it almost like a coaxial machine gun type look for additional support, the dual cannons. Overall, I think these just look absolutely neat. almost like why I honestly expect Rumble to be like in a more modern take in a realistic fashion. Now they do feature 4 rolling wheels. The only complaint I have is they don't roll too well. It's almost like they'll glide a little bit. That's about it. I mean, you can hear some of the wheels roll, but not all of them. But that right there is the anti-aircraft tank modes. I think those look cool, but I just wish they would have found a better spot for the buttons for the pile drivers. Weapons and accessories for Rumble and Frenzy include a pair of cannons that can either be stored on their turret on the back, or can be mounted on their wrist, giving them additional firepower, as well as a pair of spring-loaded pile drivers. An articulation for both Rumble and Frenzy consists of a ball-jointed head, ball-jointed shoulders with a hinged base, swivel elbows, hinged forearms, hinged wrists, hinged waist, ball-jointed hips, hinged knees, hinged ankles, and hinged heels. And overall, what is my thoughts on set TAV-32 for Transformers Adventures, the Rumble and Frenzy 2-pack? Well, this is my basic thought, which is if you're looking to get the United version of Rumble and Frenzy, and you don't have the $70 or so spare on it, then this makes a nice, affordable way to actually get these 2 figures. This is just a simple repack of the United versions, and all you gotta do to make them the United versions, quite simply, is just to remove that little sticker. That's all it is, it's just a paper sticker. So, you just want to get rid of that, it's not an issue. But otherwise, these are fine figures. I'm thrilled to have these for my collection. And if you can afford the $34.99 this set retails for, grab them. You can go to Big Bad Toy Store. You can pick up your own set today. Matter of fact, I'll provide a link to Big Bad Toy Store for these figures right here. So if you like Rumble and Frenzy, if you wanted to get the original version of this but couldn't afford to or haven't been able to, then this is your chance right here. This is the same figures. This is a really decent little set. Other than my main complaint about some of the arm articulation and the placement of the button for the pile drivers, I really have no real qualms about this set, no real issues. This is a very decent set, very nice, affordable way to have Rumble and Frenzy. But this will wrap up my review on the Transformers Adventures TAV-32 Rumble and Frenzy 2-pack. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.